So on Wednesday, all of the Marvel Netflix shows, that was Daredevil, which was Jessica Jones, which was Luke Cage, Punisher, The Defenders, and of course everyone's favorite Defender, Iron Fist. They were all on Netflix, and now they're on Disney Plus, because clearly Marvel and Disney wants to do the whole thing. If you want to see anything Marvel related, you go to Disney Plus. Unless it's Spider-Man related. Outside of that, there's anything Spider-Man related, then you go to them, but everything else you can go to us. Complications, right? Deals and relationships, and license and contracts, all wonderful stuff. Anyway, and one of the shows, like the one that kept being consistent, and the one that kept being great after great seasons of a great show, was Daredevil. So the moment Netflix mentioned, yeah, we're not doing any more episodes, we're like, can we get more, please? Can we do more? We would like to see at least the actor. We would love to see Charlie Cox back as Daredevil, or as Matt Murdock. We just want more Daredevil, for God's sakes. And then Christmas happened, and we saw Matt Murdock in Spider-Man No Way Home with him saying, I'm a really good lawyer, where he does something that no blind person could actually ever do properly, as we know of. So the question comes around is, we assume that you're not just going to be Matt Murdock for a scene. We're going to see more of him. I think it's safe to assume that we might see Matt Murdock as She-Hulk, because he's a lawyer. Jennifer Walters is a lawyer as well. So and they're having home about the whole Boston legal law order type feel towards the show. So it kind of makes sense maybe having Matt Murdock showing up in She-Hulk. There's also rumors about Jessica Jones showing up in She-Hulk as well, because She-Hulk's thing is she's the superhero lawyer. She deals with when someone says, that person, damaged my bar, I want to sue them. She's the one that offends said character. So there's rumors about Jessica Jones showing up. I have a feeling. Now back to the Man Without Fear. People have been kind of asking, like, come on, Kevin Feige, who's the head of Marvel Studios, do something with Daredevil. Don't just make it a cameo. Don't just have him popping in and out in other people's shows and other movies. Just do a Daredevil movie. Do a Daredevil TV show. Just do something with the character, with this actor, which is of course Charlie Cox. And that's what they're doing apparently. They're going to film a brand new Daredevil reboot series. Now we don't know what the extent of that meant, in the meaning of reboot. It could just be a soft reboot. It could easily be a hardcore reboot. It could just be, it's season 4, but it's a revival series. And people like to call them reboots. They don't call it sequel series, they call it a revival. They call it the reboot series. How, when I remember when, we had Dexter New Blood, people were calling it the Dexter reboot. I'm like, it's not really a reboot. It's just season 9. It's season 9, guys. It's a revival. It's just we're adding another season. It's not a reboot. Because when I think of reboot, I think of Spider-Man. I think of Batman. I think of James Bond or whatever, where we have different actors playing the same character. But clearly, what it sounds like, Marvel wants to do the whole thing of it's our version of this character played by the same actor. And it makes sense. If they. Because in the show, they did Elektra, they did the Hand, they did Kingpin, they did Bullseye, they kind of did all the big heavy hitters, the big staples of, if you don't know much about Daredevil, these are kind of things you already know about. And they probably want to do their version of Elektra, their version of the Hand, their version of Bullseye, their version of Foggy, their version. It's it's their versions, and it's just keeping what worked with the Netflix stuff. Jessica Jones worked, Punisher worked, Kingpin worked and Daredevil worked, like character-wise, and kind of pick and choose, but still creating their version of this character displayed by the same actor. And I think it's smart, and also personally, story-wise, if they have an idea of a great Elektra story, tell that story. If you have a great Bullseye story, tell it. And also, you kind of want, like, there's a part of me that's like, every Marvel character, you kind of want Kevin Feige to rub his fingers all over the place. Now, the question is, why a show? Why not just do a movie? I think because Daredevil has that sense of brutality towards it, and if we just look at Moon Knight by the trailers, it shows that Moon Knight is going to be tragic, it's going to be brutal, it's going to have the sense of brutal and fatality towards it. And I think they don't want to reflect that to the movies. They want the movies to be wholesome. They want the movies to be your big popcorn explosions type movie with a little bit of sophisticated in there. Like your big entertainment movie. While the shows to be, will go brutal when it needs, be dark when it needs to. We are going to go deeper and dive into these with these characters and who are more darker in nature that we might not want to. But again, Batman does that. Look at the Batman. Batman's a really dark movie. It's a 3-hour movie of depressiveness because it's Seven. It's a 90s serial killer movie. So there's a kind of argument of that, but that isn't the Marvel brand. It ain't the Marvel Studio brand. Marvel Studios is a full quantum. It's there's an old saying with the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, which are, these are the movies that are for the age range between 8 to 80, and that's what Marvel is. They make movies that appeal to kids and adults. The full quantum, for whatever it is, and I think that's going to be the case. Actually, I think it's going to be called Man Without Fear, I think, this revival series. Just branding and brand recognition and all that kind of stuff. But, I mean, it makes sense, and this is a great character. Daredevil is a character for me that I haven't read much, but I always have kind of been drawn to the character. I think it's just the whole thing, like everybody says, like you start with the Frank Miller, then you go to the Bendis one, and then you go to the Brubaker one, and then you do the Mark Waid stuff, and then you do, Chip Zdarsky's one. So there's a little bit of like different ways to start reading Daredevil. Actually, I saw like a novelization of Man Without Fear. I was like, okay, like the Frank Miller story, Man Without Fear. That was kind of interesting. But anyway, but yeah, I mean, it's Daredevil, it's Marvel Studios, I trust Kevin Feige. I mean, this guy has, done 2 misses for a lot of people. Iron Man 2 and Thor 2. It's safe to say, this guy knows what he's doing. I trust him completely, what he's doing with the MCU. So it's a little bit like at this point where I'm like, yeah, trust Kevin Feige, and we're going to get at least at best a good Daredevil show. And that's the thing about Marvel. They always make at worst good stuff. Then there's never horrible stuff.